sample size. Like, okay, to be fair, I don't know how giant these alien rigs were, right? But like, that's a huge sample size. Just be going up, and like, it's not like the dirt is gonna change in like the 4 feet in between.
Yeah.
No. Therein lies the rub.
Yeah.
So those first 3 theories, yeah, they're pretty well kicked off.
Okay.
The next one says that it was created by an ancient civilization.
Okay. Yes.
But for what we don't know. And here's why. Everyone loves to point out when they are looking at it that we've got the Nazca Peninsula and we've got Machu Picchu, which is relatively close to this area.
How far is Machu Picchu from there?
I don't know exactly, but I'm just saying in the region.
Peru isn't
close.
like the hugest of the areas.
No, it's not a vast country,
let's just, I don't know how many miles, but let's not worry about that. But there was a lot of really intricate building going on at that time. And one of the things that people point out is, you remember that, and I know I showed you too, is, and everybody who looks at the satellite images, that saddle where the band of holes suddenly ends.
Yeah.
To me, in the imagery, I couldn't tell if it was just rock outcroppings or it almost looked like there was some spots of sections of holes, but this outcropping, the saddle, almost looks like a slump of the mountain came down and
like a
covered
little
it.
avalanche or something.
Right.
Yeah.
There are images out there where people will say, look at this piece of rock. It looks blackened, this section of rock, which is hundreds of feet across. And they're saying it looks blackened as if there was an explosion.
Or maybe an alien landing site and they just burned it with their rockets.
Right.
Yeah.
So I showed you two. There's no blackening, I'm using air quotes here, blackening of the soil. I'm afraid I think that's actually a little bit of photoshopping.
Yeah.
I think maybe somebody did some contrast adjustments and just made it look what they wanted to look like. But they're also, in those same articles, there's another image they show of these blocky, ruinous structures. It looks like blocky, ruinous structures in kind of ravines or carve-outs in the mountain. I couldn't find that. I looked around. I looked all in that area. I spent probably an hour combing across the map. I couldn't find it. But people say, well, based on the blackening and this ruined city that we find, we think that it's the same culture that built Machu Picchu and the Nazca lines. But I can't find any that. I don't even know if that's in the same area or how zoomed in somebody was. It really raises a lot of red flags for me.
Did you do any looking for archaeological sites in Peru? See if any of the, because I mean, obviously these things, if there were ruins, they would be known.
Yeah, and that was exactly it. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it as I looked around. I'm afraid that I think that, because here's what would happen is people would show that image of this supposed ruin site and then Machu Picchu. And they would show how the structures, the squares, the buildings, and the stones were kind of similar, but I could never find them. I mean, I don't know if it's not invention.
Probably.
Finding what you want to find by zooming in close enough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to point a finger and say somebody's outright lying, but I couldn't find it to back it up.
Yeah.
So I worry about that this whole, it was a city by an alien civilization that then was bombed out.
Or an ancient civilization, which I read a really interesting article recently, which I will definitely be talking about with you guys at least, and hopefully we'll be able to formulate a show out of it about this whole ancient civilization, ancient anything.
Ancient aliens.
Kind of, but it was very, very interesting. But, I mean, we've talked about this before, and I'm sure we will continue to talk about the fact that there's strong proof of highly intelligent ancient cultures.
Oh yeah.
Even in North America, there's the Clovis culture. There's cultures that we hardly have any record of at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was a sophisticated civilization going back a long, long time.
And they're just so old that we don't have good civilization. But I think that this sort of thing really degrades that argument you know, it's looking for some stuff that doesn't exist, and it always makes me really sad when people try and make these claims, because it's like, you're really just like weakening the argument.
Yeah.
Because you're just looking for whatever. And of course, like a satellite image, you zoom in enough, it's going to get pixelated enough, you're going to be like, oh, look, totally rock outcropping, like square buildings. No, it's pixels. Calm down.
Could be. Yeah.
But also it could not be. But
There is one, I don't know that I would say theory, but a fable that supposedly explains the Band of Holes. And I can't find anywhere that says that this fable is in X record or Y record. I can't lock it into where it came from. But there is a fable that people say explains why the holes are there, and maybe it is from the indigenous people. But Devin, if you don't mind, could you read the fable for us? It's a quick one.
I can read it. Okay, everybody ready for story time?
Let's hear it.
Story time! Thousands of years ago, in a valley in a place that we now call Peru, there lived a large community of nymphs. For a long time, they lived happily among the trees and rivers until one year there was a drought. The rivers started to dry up and the trees began to die. The nymphs knew that they had to make an offering to the rain god, and they knew what he loved the most was music. What they couldn't figure out was how to get the music on the earth to reach the skies above where the rain god lived. They tried singing, but their voices were not loud enough, and neither were their musical instruments. They tried making bigger and louder instruments, but nothing worked. Finally, one young nymph had an idea. She began digging a big hole in the ground, and once she was finished, she stretched several long reeds tightly over the surface. When she plucked the reeds, the sound produced was louder and more magical than any of the other musical instruments in the world. All the other nymphs followed her lead, and within a few hours, the whole valley was covered in large holes, reeds stretched over their surfaces. The nymphs began to play their new instruments together, and for hours and hours they produced one beautiful melody after another, till the music reached all the way up into the skies. At last, the rains came, and they lived once again in peace. To this day, the large holes can be seen in the Pisco Valley in Peru.
Wow.
And evidently the moral of that story is creativity can help you through a tough challenge?
I guess so. So, has anybody ever tried to replicate that by stretching large reeds over the holes and seeing if they could play music?
Just like jumping on in the holes, stretching large reeds over and seeing if they could do it.
Not that I know of. No. But basically, I mean, that's as far as it goes. We don't know. I mean, they're there a mile or a couple of miles long. This band of holes. It meanders up the mountain until it disappears, and we have no idea why they're there.
You know, it seems like the people in that area seem to like to create stuff that would be visible to, from the eye of God, like the Nazca Lions. All those things that they did.
Right, the men and the birds and
and all that stuff.
Mysterious creatures.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they created those because they wanted to, create this piece of art that God could see up in heaven. And so this might be kind of in line with the same sort of things, that they wanted to create something that would be visible from heaven.
And maybe this was their first attempt at it, and they realized that the series of holes, it's like stippling in art. You do a series of dots, and then you do another series of dots, and that is way too much effort rather than just digging a shallow trench and filling it with something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, this one's a head scratcher.
It kind of is.
And you guys know me well enough to know that I always have like a theory that I really like. But
yeah, one of the other interesting things about it is when you look at those things through the satellite photographs, is that they go along in these perfect rows, and then they'll stop, and there'll be a break, not too huge of a break, but it's very visible.
Let's say a one line of holes.
Yeah.
or a
is
couple
missing.
lines.
Yeah, a couple lines of holes are missing, and then they start up again, and they keep going, and that's kind of a mysterious thing.
Yeah, it's obviously weird, but
It is a weird.
but that, ladies and gentlemen, is the whole story. I've been hanging on to that all week.
Yeah. So, but have they dug down any deeper to see if there's anything underneath these things?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think that they've actually dug down deeper than the holes. I imagine that they're kind of a protected site, and they just don't let, regular old yahoos hop in there with a shovel and start
Weird.
digging.
I mean, okay, regular old yahoos, but how is
Us,
this?
we're regular old yahoo. I think so, yeah.
I think so.
I don't know. It's just Yeah.
If I were an archaeologist, I'd want to go down there and do some digging, or at least go down there with a metal detector, maybe some ground penetrating radar, stuff like that, and see what you can figure out.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this particular series for the show. I hope you liked 3 in a row. Let us know what your thoughts
Plus
are.
the bonus hole.
Yeah, if you like them. All the information about these stories will be on the website. That website, as always, is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can listen to the show there, or you can go ahead and leave a comment if you want to talk to us about stuff. You can always find our shows on Stitcher, so if you didn't get a chance to download it, you can just stream it right off of any mobile device. We're also on Facebook, so we've got our Facebook page, so you can find us and like us. We've also got the group, which still doesn't have a lot of activity, but it's there if folks want to chat. And of course, if you want to go ahead and send us an email, please by all means do. Email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. Obviously, tonight's stories came out of listener suggestions, which is fantastic. And is there anything else that I've been missing?
I feel like we have some listener mail.
Well, I haven't seen any emails that have backed up.
Oh, well, okay, I'm sorry. We have a iTunes review that I really liked that I wanted to read.
Oh, I haven't been on. I haven't looked at iTunes in a while.
Oh, well, I'll read it. That's fine. Fine. Okay. So, as you know, being an iTunes review, it's like pretty anonymous, right? But it's titled Overheard Conversations at McMenamins. And it says, if you've ever finished off a Ruby in the setting Portland Sun, you may have heard the perky, educated female, the excitable hipster, and the more laid-back older gentleman conversing intelligently on numerous subjects while having a good time. This podcast hits it all. I've been a long-time Mysterious Universe listener, and Thinking Sideways hits those subjects while feeling like you just walked in on your old friends talking, enjoyable, friendly, and a wide range of topics. Which I love this.
Oh.
I think, like, not only this person is, like, from our area, obviously.
Sounds like, yeah.
Right? He's calling me perky and educated, which I love.
Is this a guy or a girl?
I don't know. I can't tell. It's just, I don't know. I just assume he on the internet.
I automatically assume she, but I guess
Okay.
it's just, yeah.
Anyway, so, this person is calling me
whoever you
perky
are,
and
guy, girl.
educated.
Yeah.
So, and I just, what?
Okay, so you're the educated young lady,
Perky and educated.
and Joe is.
The older, laid back older gentleman?
Hey.
So that leaves me, the excitable hipster.
Well,
Okay, all right. So
You can drink PBR.
I admit that I'm excitable, and I wear cool hats.
And you're a
but I've been
graphic
doing that since before it was cool. But
Yeah.
oh crap!
and you drink PBR,
I do.
But you don't
and you're a
wear
graphic designer.
you don't wear skinny pants, though.
No, I don't wear
That's-
skinny jeans.
that's
so
true.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I do. That is a great review, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's for anybody who knows Portland or McMenamins. That is a spot on description of what I guess this show is.
I guess so.
The person who wrote that, thank you very much.
I guess
That's
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 fantastic.
That's right. You were saying at the top of the show that like people were asking for a description of what we are. Boom.
I don't know that I'm going to go around saying I'm an excitable hipster.
Well,
I'm just going to say.
you are.
And I'm not older, and I'm not really a gentleman.
Well, all right. I guess the description applies to me and me only.
Yeah.
All right, perky, educated young lady.
That's me.
There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is the end of what we've got. Do let us know, though, if you like today's show, if you like having a number of smaller stories packed into one episode. We like to try these things out, so let us know what you think.
Yeah.
That having been said, we're going to call it a night, so thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
Toodaloo.
It's the lizard people, I'm telling you, stealing our water.
No doubt.
Stupid lizard people. Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by Bigfoot riding a unicorn. Instead, it's brought to you by Simply Safe. As much as we love investigating various crimes, the last thing anyone wants to encounter is crime firsthand. Now, there's a smarter way to protect your home with Simply Safe. Simply Safe doesn't have annual contracts, so there's no commitment and no lock-ins, period. And best of all, with Simply Safe, you get 24/7 protection with professional monitoring and police dispatch, which is just $15 a month. It's unbeatable protection at a great value and no strings attached. So protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafe.com/criminal to get 10% off your system today. That's SIMPLI safe.com/criminal.
Thinking Sideways.
From the aliens, you must unlearn what you have learned. I don't know.
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways, the podcast. I am Devin, joined as usual by
Joe.
and
Steve.
the boys.
Yay!
The man. Watch it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
The dudes, maybe.
I act
All
like
right.
a little boy. It's okay.
You do, it's
Ah.
true.
I'm 12.
This week we're going to talk about the Indiana Dunes disappearance, and it was suggested by Francesca.
Nice, thanks, Francesca.
But it's one that I personally have known about for a really long time. She just happened to say.
There you
So,
go.
and then other people have suggested.
Oh,
Well,
sorry
always.
about that. Yeah, you might feel left out, but
Yeah.
we read your emails, I swear.
Yeah. So this disappearance includes 3 women. You'll often see girls, but they weren't girls. They were young women, and they were named Ann Miller, Patricia Blau, and Renee Brohl in July of 1966.
It's like 50 years ago, man.
Yeah, and oddly, all 3 of their Charlie Project pages are different.
Slightly
Slightly different.
They're actually all cut and pasted and then modified.
Yeah, they are, but it's still kind of weird
First paragraph is unique and last paragraph
Maybe.
and the body should be the same, but it's not. I
Yeah.
agree.
No, they should
it's
kind
just
of.
weird in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should all actually have to have just one page, I think.
Well, they're 3
That's not
different
the way Charlie works. though.
missing
Yeah, I suppose.
women. So we're gonna go ahead and go through the agreed upon story, and we'll try to make mention of any additional details as we can to keep the story flowing.
I don't want to give anything away, but what happened to these 3?
To be determined.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Anne, Renee, and Patricia, who I've seen referred to as Patty on a couple blogs, but I think she was Patricia. I don't think she was Patty.
Patty is a nickname for Patricia.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but I think she went by Patricia, not Patty. But who
I
knows?
couldn't say.
I saw a webpage that said she went by Pat and Patty.
Yeah.
And so,
Anyway, we're going to call her Patricia.
All right.
The 3 of these young women were horse enthusiasts. Anne and Patricia met when they were boarding their horses at the same stable, and then Patricia and Renee had been friends since high school. Patricia was 19 in 1966, and so was Renee. They had gone to high school together. And then Anne was 21, so a couple years older. They often met at a tavern in Hodgkins, Illinois, which
is that like a suburb of Chicago?
it's one of many suburbs. So they all lived in suburbs of Chicago,
Yes.
or actually I think Renee lived in West Chicago, but they all lived in suburbs, and so Hodgkins would have actually been a pretty central meeting point for them.
And it was close to the stables.
It was close to the stables as well, yeah.
Now,
Renee was
now,
married.
that's
Patricia
good.
and Ann both had
Get your
boyfriends
drink.
that they may or may not have met at the tavern, and
Oh, well,
also
one out there,
may
man, busy.
not have been married.
Well, what was up? What you mean?
So when you say
Now?
boyfriends that they
Now?
met, they met these guys for the
Now?
first time at the tavern, not they had boyfriends who would also meet all the
Yeah,
girls.
yeah, that they first met at the tavern.
Okay, the way it came out, wait a minute.
No, yeah, sorry. So they maybe met these maybe married men who were their boyfriends, respectively, but it's unclear if these guys were married or not.
always a great choice. You
Always.
always want to marry kids.
Yeah, well, especially when you're 19 and 21. It's really good one.
Good choices.
Yeah. The women all stabled and rode their horses at a stable called the Tricolor Stable in Palatine, Illinois, which was owned by George James, George and Silas James, and we will talk about that later.
Brothers James.
I know you guys love it when I say that. We will talk about that later if you happen to have the tiger ears piece a little bit. It's possible that you don't, so
There's
that's
a lot
okay.
of
Don't worry
information
about
about
it.
Silas out there.
Yeah, there is. Patricia, aside from riding, just having the riding horse that she had, she also owned a thoroughbred named Hank, which I think is a pretty cool name for a horse, who was a winning racehorse. He had recently won 2 separate races that won about $900 a piece, which is like $7,000 now. So not nothing. I mean, not like
We're up in Canada.
yeah, both of those races.
So Canadian
I think it was American dollars. But yeah, so this will again probably be relevant later, but later. On July 2nd, 1966, in the wee hours of the morning, Anne and Patricia returned to their respective homes.
Like right after bar closed.